In the Great Questions seminar, we have a couple of different types of assignments, and I'm looking at the syllabus right now as I go over these with you. We have study questions for class discussion. You'll see when you open a discussion forum, and you'll see in the instructions that there are many questions listed for each discussion. Your job is to choose one of those questions and craft a response, and then post that as your initial thread. I divide discussions into two parts. Part one, which is your initial thread, which would be choosing a discussion question in the forum, only one. You don't have to answer all of them, and so even if you're reading multiple books, like for when you read the creation section, you'll be reading excerpts from different books. You will choose one to focus on. Please clarify in your subject line for your initial thread which question and which book that you responded to help your classmates determine which ones they want to look at and respond to. I do encourage you, for example, say that you wrote your initial thread on the Quran, then I would encourage you to respond to someone who wrote about a different text for that discussion section, for that specific forum. So I encourage you to kind of maybe look at one other person who wrote the Quran if you want to, so that you can see how both of you are thinking the same way. While you're only required, part two is the responses, and while you're only required to respond to two classmates, you may respond to more. I mean, I would encourage you to respond to more, but to keep things simple and for grading, it's two responses. Part two, respond to two classmates. And this means respond to their threads, the posts that they wrote answering their question. Not if they reply to your thread and you respond to them in your own thread, that doesn't count. I want you to do that. That's optional and really encouraged. It's not part of your grade. Part of your grade is that you go in and you read what someone else wrote in response to the study question, and or the prompt for some of, like the Euclid questions don't have study questions. I think they just have, they have other activities that you do. There's one where I ask you to write a poem. So you'll look at, you look at two, let me get some water. You look at two of what your classmates wrote different from yours and respond to them. And then if they respond to you, I encourage you to reply to that as well, but that's not toward your grade. That is just toward good discussion and getting the most from this class. I have created Flipgrid discussions for you guys to do video discussions. I think it's pretty easy to use through your phone. There's also VidGrid, and I'll be showing you how to do that. I'll share a video that tells you how to do that, and then I'll put a starter video in your next forum so that you can use that approach for video. These technologies are relatively new to me, which is why I'm not requiring them or even using them that much. I've never used them before, but I'm really trying to create a situation where we have the closest replication of live discussion as possible, because this class is all about the discussions with each other and discussing these books and kind of learning from each other about different ways of approaching the text. Something that you won't get just by looking at it yourself and answering questions on your own. You're only going to be able to get another perspective by talking about it with classmates and listening to classmates when they respond to you and how they respond to the text. So that's discussions, and you'll see that I'm on page 6 of the syllabus, and I'm just going down through each one. So the next one is formal study question assignment. Formal study question assignment. In Blackboard, you will see a link that says formal study question, and you have one of these coming up. The discussion questions have starred questions, but they will also be listed in the section in Blackboard under formal study questions for you to choose from. You must choose a study question relating to our current unit. So for Unit 1, it's going to have to relate to the Odyssey, because that's all we've read so far. For Unit 2, you're going to have more options, but you choose one question relating to the Odyssey. It can be a question that you've already answered in class discussion, because some of those questions are in your discussion forums. But you would want to develop it, proofread it, polish it, maybe add some research. You want to make sure that you are hitting all the points on the rubric to get the perfect score. And I will mention how to look at the rubric in Blackboard in text. The way to do it is to go to the assignment link, where you see what the assignment link that you click to turn in your assignment, which for formal study questions is located in the section in the course menu that says formal study questions. Open formal study questions, scroll down, you'll see 3 links to turn in. There's 3 all throughout the semester. Click on the link and you'll see a rubric. If you click on that, the rubric comes up and you're able to look at the rubric to examine, see if you make sure that you're getting all of the things that you need to be getting. When I grade your work, that's what I do. I read your work and I click the rubric. So that's a really useful guide. You might be able to print it out, you might not. Maybe you can do a screen capture of it. Maybe I can try to get a screenshot of the rubrics for you, because I've tried to download them in PDF format and I'm not able to do that, but I'll try to screen capture it. That way you don't have to do all those steps and you can just see it. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that done for you in a timely manner. Ideally, that's what I'd like for you to have, is a clickable link just to have the rubric right there. It would be really cool to have a rubric that you could check off yourself, but I don't have the technological savvy to do that. So that's the formal study question. It says that it's 450 to 500 words, not counting quotations. You should be quoting, you should be doing research, you need to use MLA style. Whenever you refer to information you got from an outside source, you must use parenthetical citations. So you would have parentheses that say the author's name or the title of the article if you don't know who the author is, the page number if there is one, if it's not an online source. And you need to do that even if you're not directly quoting, even if you're just talking about information you learned from your research. You need to let us know where you learned that so that we can follow your sources. So be really careful with tracking sources, but also, make sure that your study questions include a lot of your own thinking. You'll also want to quote from the Odyssey. Make sure that whatever study question you choose, even if it seems like it's not asking you to talk about the Odyssey in this case, and for study questions 2 and 3, or formal study questions number 2 and number 3, whatever text you decide to write about, you must quote from that text as well. And that's actually outlined in the instructions. Just make sure that you do that. Make sure that you're incorporating a discussion of the specific text that we're looking at. And then there's making connections. While you might be able to get away with doing your study questions with minimal research, just looking at the text and thinking about it, you must do research with making connections. You will have to do some research there. These are presentations, and there are 3 of them total in the class. I've made a sample presentation for you. You may use Google Slides or any kind of slide software you want to use, but then you need to convert it into a PDF file. Unless you're using Prezi, I think without professional Prezi you can't make PDF files, so just make sure you save a copy of your work in case something goes wrong with Prezi. The reason that I require PDF files is because not everyone has the software at home to view whatever you use. So if you made a PowerPoint and I'm at home on a Mac or I'm looking at it on my phone or whatever, I might not be able to open it, but if it's a PDF, no matter who you are, you can open it. Submit your PDF and submit your PowerPoint. Submit them both so that those of us, like me, your professor, who can open any kind of file, most kinds of files anyway, I can look at it the way you prefer, your nice slideshow. But just in case, even I have had trouble with people's files in the past, and so giving me a PDF file makes sure that I can look at it and grade it. You will need to turn your Making Connections assignment in twice. You'll have to submit it into your group, and then you'll have to submit it in the Making Connections section of Blackboard. There'll be a link in the Blackboard course menu that says Making Connections, and you'll see links to turn in all 1, 2, and 3. When you're turning it into your group, please submit a PDF and a link to your Prezi or your slideshow or whatever. When you turn it into me, it's okay if you just give me your slideshow, because if I have trouble with it, then I can go to your group and find your PDF file. As long as that's in there, then I can hunt it down, and so that's okay. But I do need you to turn it in both places to your group so that you can do the group responses. And there are instructions on how to respond to your group members and how that counts toward your participation grade. But for me, I need you to submit it using the assignment link, because that's the only way that I can open the rubric and click in it to give you a score. If you don't turn it in that way and you only submit it to your group, I'll give you a grade, but there will be no explanation, and that's just going to be that, because once I've graded it, it's graded, and I'm not going to go over the rubric twice. If you want to see the rubric score, I need you to take the care and the time to submit it through the assignment link for me to be able to activate the rubric. If you do not, I won't give you a 0, but you won't get any feedback, including knowing how you score on the rubric. So it's really important that you turn it in to me if you care about knowing how and why you got the grade you got. It's important to turn it into your group if you want to participate in the group work. The groups might get a little fuzzy. You're going to stick to the same group that you sign up for, with the exception of late work. So we'll sign up for groups. You sign up on your own, and there are 3 Making Connections, and you'll turn all 3 of them in at different times to the same people. If you have a problem with a group member, please reach out to me so that I can fix that. I can either move you into a different group or move that person into a different group. And if it's a real problem, I'll talk to the people. I ask that you be kind to each other, to not copy each other's work. Any of these kinds of offenses, and this goes for class discussion as well, if there's copying, cheating, unkind communication, you will be removed from the ability to participate in these forums, and you'll only be able to do assignments that I see. You will no longer be allowed to interact with your classmates. It depends on the severity. Like, I'll talk to you first if it's not, if it seems like a misunderstanding, or if it's cheating, we'll talk first. You'll have one chance. But it really does depend on the degree. You probably normally will get one warning and we'll have a talk before you're removed, but I will not tolerate cheating or unkindness toward each other. You must respect each other even if you disagree. This is a space where we all need to feel comfortable sharing about who we are and what we think about these texts, these great questions. So we must be willing to hear other points of view with respect and be able to disagree respectfully. Okay, sorry, a little bit of a digression, but it's actually relevant to Making Connections, group work, and your class discussions. Faculty meetings are listed next. You will meet with me twice through voice chat. If I am able to get a webcam, which I don't see happening anytime soon, we'd be able to do a video chat like you're seeing me here, but I don't have a webcam on my computer, only on my iPad. And I can't do conferences on my iPad because it doesn't work with the features very well. The Blackboard or Google Meet features, they don't. I'm still not. I've used Zoom and I'm very comfortable with that on my iPad, but the ACC does not want us to use Zoom. So you'll meet with me in a voice chat or video, depending on how things go, what the future holds for us once, and I'll have a sign-up sheet for you to do that. Speaking of sign-up sheets, I'll have to backtrack. In the Making Connections, there is a topic sign-up sheet. So you want to go and sign up. Some of you have already done that. You will find that you probably can't access it even if you're logged into Gmail. You must be logged into your ACC Gmail to even try. But you probably won't. I don't know why. It just never works. And you'll have to ask me to give you access. And if I see an ACC Gmail account asking for access, then all I do is I just do it. I only have to do it this one time, and then after that, you'll be able to easily access that. And the same would be the case for the sample making connections that I gave you. And this is why I ask when you use Google Slides that you give me a PDF, because I'm not going to, when I'm trying to grade, wait for that. I'm going to go to your PDF if I'm not able to view your slide. So back to the faculty meetings. We'll meet, we'll talk. I'll mention this again in an announcement when it's time for you to sign up for those. So we'll have a one-on-one. And then there are the How's It Going reflection journals. And these are journals where you can ask for advice and guidance from me, and I usually offer it. I respond to every journal. Sometimes I don't have any advice to give you, so I'll just say, nice work. But if I can give you advice, I will, I do. I am also a first-generation college student, as I know several of you are. Some of you are coming from UT. I went to UT Austin. I took one distance learning class at ACC when I was an undergrad. And so I do understand how much there is to navigate as you're trying to understand the system and succeed in it. So if I can help, I will. Your advisors, your academic coaches, they're also really good resources. If you can find it, if you don't like your advisor, find a new one, get a good relationship with that advisor, because they really are your access to understanding the mechanisms of the system. So I do encourage that you do that. This is going on a little longer, but that's okay. Hopefully this is helpful. So your course grade, this is how it's broken down. You'll see that participation and attendance is 30% of your grade. I'm calculating, I might miss something. I don't have it in front of me. You're going to need to go into the syllabus and look at Professor Leistico's course policies, like my specific policies, and there you will see a very detailed breakdown of how your participation is scored. And I score it by the unit so that you can track how you're doing at the end of each unit. So there's going to be Unit 1 participation, Unit 2, and Unit 3, each being 10 points or 10% of your grade, totaling to 30%. And I'm factoring in to your participation your orientation quiz, your forum discussions in the forums, or in the video, the Flipgrid, that counts toward participation. You're making connections responses, and there might be one or two other things, but you need to go check that out. That's the main thing, is your forums, the orientation quiz, and the response to each other's making connections. Those will be worth various points going into each unit of participation, totaling 30. You have 3 formal study questions. Those are worth 10% each, totaling 30. And then there are 3 making connections assignments, which are those presentations. 10% of your grade each, 10 points each, totaling to 30. And then there's 10 journal points, all being 1 point each, or 1%, totaling 10% of your grade. And then here's this, the scale of what makes an A. It's kind of what you would probably expect from a grading scale. All of this is in Blackboard in a digital syllabus, but I wanted to go over it with you here just to make sure that everything was clear. I think the main problem has been a misunderstanding about how to respond to the forums and what Part 1 and Part 2 mean, and so I'm going to repeat that. Part 1 of a forum, Forum X Part 1, means you post an initial thread responding to one of the many questions, if there are, well, in most cases, and I think there's 2, maybe 3 forums that only have one question or want you to do an activity. Most of the forums have a list of questions you choose from. You'll choose one of those questions, craft a response, post it as an initial thread. That's Part 1. Part 2 of Forum X, any forum, except, and this is always going to be the case, Part 2, 2 replies to 2 other forums, 2 replies to 2 other threads that a classmate has created in their Part 1, if that makes sense. So Part 1, create your own thread, post your response to one question. Part 2, reply to 2 other people's first responses. Part 3 is optional. I never say that it's due. I never ask you to do it. It's not in the calendar. And that is to go back and look at anyone who replied to your initial discussion post. And maybe they asked you a question, or maybe they said something, and have a conversation with them. So that's optional. I encourage it. It's not for a grade. It doesn't affect your grade in any way, so I expect that most of you won't do it. But it does affect your learning. It affects your intellectual advancement, so maybe that's motivation enough. And that's all I've got for you for now. We've been going for 20 minutes, so please don't hesitate to email me. Please don't use the phone number that I put in Blackboard, because it does not ring a direct line. I don't have a direct line through ACC. I am an adjunct professor, which means that I don't have an office, I don't have a direct line. I do have a direct email, and I will respond to your emails within 24 hours, 48 hours on the weekends, and we can make an appointment to do a voice conference, or you can ask me during my office hours to have a voice conference by sending me an email and just requesting that, and we can talk at that time through Meet. And if you don't hear back from me when you send an email, please send it again, and just make sure that you go into your ACC Gmail account, start a new email, put my email address in it, which is DWARD, DWARD, which is not my last name, it's my name before I got married, at ACC, let me write it down, I've given it to you many times, but austincc.edu, and hopefully you can see this, but that it's in Blackboard, so please just go in there, go to your Gmail, send me an email through Gmail, and then put in the subject line Humanities 1301 and whatever you wanted to ask me about, and then type an email to me, preferably following the principles of etiquette in emailing your professors or emailing anyone in a professional manner. If you reply to an email that I send you through Blackboard, or if you try to use Blackboard's email feature to email me, I might not receive it. I've had students ask me why I've never answered their email, and I never got their email, and they told me that they sent it through Blackboard. So I advise that you just don't do that, that you use your ACC Gmail, because I feel like it doesn't always work to use the Blackboard tool. I don't know why, but let's take that out of the possibilities of things going wrong and just email me directly from Gmail. And if that doesn't happen, then do call that phone number, because I do check the voicemail once a week, or at least once every 2 weeks. There's never anything in there. There's never a phone call in there, but I do check it just in case there's a student who's like, I'm trying to email you and I can't get to you. You can also email my supervisor and say, hey, she's not replying, and he knows how to reach me directly through email, and he can help me get to you if you're really having trouble reaching me. But I think for the most part, if you email me using your ACC Gmail account and you email me directly and not through Blackboard or as a reply to an email I sent to the class, they do get to me. Now and then they get lost. That's why I ask that if I don't reply to you in 24 hours or 48 on a weekend, send me another email just in case yours got lost in my inbox. Sometimes they do get lost. Usually the second time someone emails me, I see it, and then I can go back and I see how I missed their first one. That does happen sometimes. So do send me a second email. I do not ignore you. I do sometimes miss it. I try not to. So that is all I have to say. I'd love to hear from you. I hope that this has been helpful. If there are any questions, you have any questions after hearing me go over this for nearly 25 minutes, please ask. Thank you.